Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, here for another inspirational show of Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. How is everybody doing on this fine Monday morning here in May? Happy Mother's Day, or belated Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. Got some of my top fans tuning in this morning, so saying good morning to Linda and Ma and Lyra. How are you guys? Wendy, how are you? Kimberly, my mom is watching. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Carol and Jeanette. So thanks so much for tuning in this morning, guys. Had a little bit of interesting trying to get logged on to Facebook. For some reason, it wasn't allowing the live feed. So if you don't catch the live feed here through Facebook Live, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube playlist, which will be premiered over on YouTube after this show is over. And at 8:30, come back and join me for the Prospecting Q&A after show, where it's your way to get a free reading with me. Card reading, intuitiveness, awareness, mediumship, psychic, guidance for the week ahead. So make sure to tune back in on the Intuitive Prospector page. So make sure to like, share, turn on notifications so you can get that notification every time that I'm live. So if you want to share out the page, please do so. This is a community grassroots page, so I appreciate anybody that shares out and anybody that shares out the live feed to other pages or people that you feel would be beneficial of receiving today's inspirational message. Please do so, because at the end of this month, you're entered into a free reading, 30-minute reading with me, phone or video, for those that share out, and also subscribe to my YouTube playlist. It's a great way to get entered in, and I pick one person, or I should say the spirit world picks one person. So this morning, just kind of going to be talking about some things that were on my morning meditation this morning. The days are long and the years are short, something I've come to terms with. And I also want to just say, just wanted to take a quick second to wish my wife a very happy anniversary. Our 24th wedding anniversary happened today, May 13th, 24 years ago. It's just hard to believe that I've been married for 24 years. We've been together 26 years, and that's what is going to be tying into today's message about the days are long and the years are short. So happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Happy anniversary to my beautiful, amazing wife, Jenny. Thank you for being on the soul adventure the last 26 plus years of where I'm going, and supporting me in the spiritual work and the spiritual path and the journey that I'm on. Love you very much. So today we're just going to take about 20 minutes. I'm going to give you your totem animal spirit for the week, something to pay attention to, what I call signs, symbols, synergy, and synchronistic events through your daily life. You can also catch me on Alexa or the Echo Pod. Just ask to turn on Ariel's Positive Living, and you can get inspirational quotes from me. You can get messages that I remind people every day how the spirit world, the unseen world, interacts with us. So make sure to turn Positive Living, Ariel's Positive Living, on your Alexa settings or your Echo Pod. Also, make sure to subscribe to or follow me on Instagram. That's the Intuitive Prospector on Instagram. Want to increase my Intuitive Prospector page on Instagram and do a little bit more on Instagram, including videos and more on my YouTube playlist. So let's get into what I call the magic of the moment. Take a nice deep breath with me on this Monday morning. Grab your cup of coffee, grab your cup of tea. Metaphysical Mocha Mondays wouldn't be Mocha Mondays without your coffee or tea to get us through. So today I've got my Key West mug. This is pretty cool. I was in Key West a few weeks ago on vacation. It's called the Conch Republic because they eat a lot of conch shells down there. This buoy is what's known as the southmost point of the United States, of the continental United States, before you get to Cuba. They call it Mile Zero Post, right here, Mile Zero Post. And I was just on vacation last week talking about vacations and spirit speak, and did some diving and had an amazing time down there. So grab your coffee, grab your tea. Let's take in a nice, deep, cleansing, healing breath to start off our week, to start off our inspiration for this week. I want to give you a Rumi quote that this is really ties into today's message. And Rumi talks about, when will you begin that long journey into yourself? And just have you think about that for a second. When will you begin that long journey into yourself? And what does that mean? Rumi reminds us, not to be satisfied with the stories of how things have gone with others, but unfold your own myth. And today I'm talking about the days are long and the years are short. And that's something that I didn't really think about until, I started realizing, geez, I've been married for 24 years, but where did those 24 years go? but I remember the days being long. It's like when you get through your days and you're like, the stress and strain, the constant go of, trying to get through the day and trying to get to that next step in your life. And then all of a sudden you realize, geez, where did all those years go? That's where that really plays into part, is how busy you are in your life. Are you really so busy that you try to get through those long days for your next progression where you're going in your spiritual path, and then you realize, oh my gosh, 47 years has passed and the years have gone by so fast. And that's, again, the days are long and the years are short. And a lot of that is, constantly waiting for that next thing. And I try to teach, we all work and we wait towards that next big thing in our lives, our promotions at work, getting married, having kids, buying houses, new cars, big trips, holiday events, etc., etc., etc. But I'm talking about the small things that fill our calendars. For that weekend that we have plans, going out into nature, going out on a hike, going on a trip, going down to Key West. Fill in those times where you can kind of slow down and you don't think you're just moving through your busy day or waiting for that next busy day to happen in your life. That's where you start to appreciate the years, and you slow down that constant motion of just trying to get through the day. Because I've learned that there is no guarantees for tomorrow, and all we can do is have the magic in the moment today. So if you think about it, one of the things that helps me to get through the day, because the days are long and the years are short, and for some of you that's going to resonate. For some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. That's okay. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing out. Thank you for subscribing to the Metaphysical Mocha Monday. It's an inspirational show, and part of that inspiration is to get you thinking outside the box as well. Get you thinking for your journey ahead and what is life all about. I just had I just realized that I turned 47, and if I statistically have I lived half my age, so that means I got to get to 94, and so I have another 47 years to get to that 94. And if not, most average, the average age is between 76 and 83 for men. So it's like, am I going to outlive my average, or have I lived half my life? And as you move into the second half of your life, some would call it, when we get to midlife, some would look at it as a rebirth. There's certain parts of your age, for me it was at 27 when the spiritual path really kind of started to open up to me, and I started to go down this path of understanding life after death, an unseen world that interacts with our own world. And you really start to, if you think about it from a cellular level, your cells break down. Your full cells, if you think about this for a second, we're a bunch of cells compacted together into a physical flesh suit. We're vibrating at a frequency where we can see each other and have an exchange of conversation and emotions and feelings. But every 5 to 6 years, science has shown that your cells literally break down and a whole new series of cells is recreated. And it's very much the same with your path, that there are certain ages where you really have impactful changes to your life. A shakening causes an awakening, if you will. For me, it was 27 when I got the phone call that my brother had been murdered, and that's what changed my paradigm shift, if you will. And they talk about 27 in astrology. A lot of the famous singers, Allison, what is her name? Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Morrison. All the 27, they were all 27 when they passed. So you can look into the number 27. It's just an interesting, which in numerology adds up to 9, which means a completion. So it's like you have your phases of life, and in our midlife, some would call it a midlife crisis. Some would call it a spiritual awakening. I choose to have a spiritual awakening because you think about it for a sec. You go from being in a diaper through all these life experiences of getting through these long days, and then you come back and realize that the long days were long, but the years became short. Before you know it, you're in your 60s, you're in your 70s, you're in your 80s, and you're kind of going back to that diaper format of you've learned everything and you're not really caring. I mean, it was interesting when I was in the villages in Florida. Real fun place to visit, but it's also one of the per capita highest STD rates in the country. And that's because you've got a lot of elderly people that just are living life and not really caring about status quo and buying into a lot of the BS that we're sold from, capitalism, 24/7 media, social media. And that's why I present this show on the social media platform, us Facebook, and this will also be premiering over on my YouTube channel, is because I'm trying to bring inspiration, creativity, spiritualism, mediumship, psychic sciences, metaphysics, consciousness, intuition, awareness, and bring that into your path so you can think about things differently. You don't have to believe what I say. I'm not saying that. I'm just sharing my journey with you and my soul adventure and the things that I've seen and how I connect. And it's just it's an interesting journey, because before you know it, you realize that time really is an illusion. We're the only species that measures our life by this little guy right here on our wrist. We're also the only species that pays to live here, and I've always been fascinated with why that is. Why do we measure our life and think that we have to be in a certain place in our life, at a certain age? When I was growing up, the next thing after college or after high school was to either go to college or get married. That was kind of, but why does it have to be that format? Why does it have to fall into that status quo? And if you were, even if you go back to my parents' generation, if you weren't married by the time you were 25, then you may have been classified as an old maid, or you're going to be that, the cat lady later in life because you hadn't married. So there was this, social conditioning to get married. And for you, those of you watching, you don't need to get married. You don't need to be married 24 years like myself. That's the choice I made. That's the choice I wanted, because I wanted a partner to just go through life to share this soul adventure with me. But that's not for everybody. That's not everybody's path. That's not everybody's journey. So, it's just a reminder that if you're waiting for something, don't, because just be in the moment. Be what I refer to. I go back to the scripture. It's one of the books that I do read is the Bible, because there's a lot of knowledge in there. Complete oxymoron from the Old Testament to the New Testament. One of many great books from philosophy to consciousness to spiritual awakening. And the one that really stands out to me is Psalm 46:10, that talks about be still and know. And every time I read that, it echoes, it's, whatever your belief system is in God. I don't try to, say that God's a big guy in this chair up above in heaven and hell. I don't get into that whole concept of religion. From a spiritual standpoint, it's the God within. It's that listening to that consciousness, the God that's so close to your heart. You don't need to go to somebody else to connect to that God within. And it was like, God was telling us, be still and know. And be still and know. And you think about that for a second. What does that really mean? And every time I read it, it echoes into my heart. And it's telling me that be still and know that I am God. And it's saying I know that I'm God, or know that I am a part of God in that consciousness. And, it's really just about not waiting, being so busy. Stop being so busy waiting for that next thing. Sometimes you have to be still and know, just to slow down and come back to your foundations. Whether that's a religious foundation, whether that's a spiritual foundation, the concepts of love and kindness and caring and compassion all apply to that. And, religion really is the same record. It just has different versions of songs depending on where you're at in the world. And, I believe it's David Bowie that reminds us that religion is for those that fear hell, and spiritualism is for those who have walked through it. And that's why my spiritual path, because I've had a lot of death and dying, tragedies, murder, cancer, MS, my own near-death experience, my own out-of-body experience. And it's a big reason why I do the work that I do today. So it's just a reminder to slow down, to be still and know, what you want for your journey, where you're going, and just, really find that magic in the moment. There's another quote from Rumi that, I'm a big fan of Rumi. If you don't know much about Rumi, R-U-M-I, research him. We have the internet now at our fingertips. I always go back to the days when I was much, much younger, that I had to go to the library to do the Dewey Decimal System, to look up the books. Now you have all that information right at your fingertips. And Rumi talked about what you seek is seeking you. And that's why I always remind people what I do is spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual goal, because I find that it's different. Everybody's looking for something different, but at the end, we're all looking for that joy, happiness, peace, relaxation, love, guidance, career that is within. And Rumi reminds us of that. What you seek is seeking you. So thanks for hanging out with me this morning. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays here on the Intuitive Prospector channel. Make sure to turn on the notifications, subscribe, like, share out, get on my YouTube playlist, or follow me on Instagram at Intuitive Prospector. Love to have you come on the Instagram, something I'm working on a lot more. So I'm going to have another drink of my coffee here as we celebrate the magic in the moment, talking about the days are long and the years are short. And I go back to even my childhood. I remember the long summer days. I remember wondering if the days are going to end, and then before you know it, boom, I'm here and I'm midlife, and it's like, where did the years go? So with that, I want to give you some messages for this week to pay attention to. I always remind people to pay attention to the signs, symbols, synergy, and synchronistic events that take place in our life. I have them happen all the time, and if you've had a reading with me, whether it's a personal in-person reading, on the phone, in the video, I always remind people that some of the best evidence comes after the reading, and a lot of times the spirit world never disappoints based on the messages it received. So this morning I want to give you the totem animal spirit for this week is the stag. So if you just think of a big deer with big horns, if you see the stag, it's an opportunity to release something that no longer fits your life so that the room will be made for the new that's ready to be birthed and appear. So when you see the stag, the deer, the elk, anything with big horns, it's a reminder that something is, there's an opportunity to release something that doesn't serve your higher path. And I found when you release something, you create that vacuum and something else will fill in. And it's just saying that it's when the stag appears, it's ready to be birthed and appear to whatever you want to create. So that's your totem animal spirit for the week. That is the stag. Your number for the week is the spiritual career. Some of you have been thinking about doing a spiritual career, a spiritual path. The spiritual career card comes up in numerology. Now the 7 is about truth, and the 8 is about being a business-minded leader. Now I'm a life path 8. You turn the 8 sideways, it becomes the infinity. You put these together, that adds up to a 15 energy, which adds up to a 6 in numerology, which is about self-love, self-love, and self-love. But for some of you, you may be thinking about a spiritual career, so I want you to pay attention. If you see the 7 for truth, the 8 for business-minded leader, or the 15, those are your 3 numbers this week to pay attention to for if you're thinking about going down a spiritual path, a spiritual career. It's not something that I thought I would do. I wanted to be a firefighter. I was in the Coast Guard for 8 years. I transitioned out and became a day shift firefighter for the city of Marysville and was going to go to work for the Seattle Fire Department. I was number 1 on the list and found out that I had broken my back and had to medically retire at 32. So the spirit world had carved out a spiritual career for me that I didn't realize. Now, I don't do this work full time, guys. I do have a part-time daytime job for the federal government doing healthcare inspections that I love to do and have that balance. I don't know if I'd do this work full time, but for some of you that are watching today, the spiritual career may be something that you're thinking about. A lot of us that have had a shaking that's caused an awakening, we've had a near-death experience, we've had an out-of-body experience called an OBE or a near-death experience, NDE, or you've witnessed somebody move into the spirit world. These all are questions that you may be asking yourself about life and what is my purpose here? What's my passion? What's my plan? What am I going to accomplish while I'm here on this beautiful planet of Earth? And what is death and dying? Is there life after death? All those questions that we all go through. So I'm going to move a little bit over this way because there's the sun coming in. So I'm here in my studio in Seattle, Washington, and always going to appreciate the sun. It's been actually beautiful weather here. But one of the stones that I want to give you as well. So we've got the totem animal of the stag. We've got the career path, or the 7 and 8 of your spiritual career. If you've been thinking about a spiritual career, so 7 or 8, pay attention to those 2 numbers. 7 is based on truth, and 8 is based on business-minded leader. And then I want to give you the lapis stone. A friend of mine just actually gave me some lapis, and it was kind of making me reflect back on that. The lapis it's kind of a deep blue flecked with gold. It's a really cool stone. I don't know if I actually have one within reach. But it's a blue stone with gold kind of laced in it, not actual gold. But what it does, it opens up the third eye, and it balances the throat chakra. So for those of you that have been thinking about a spiritual career, for those of you that have been thinking about moving into your higher self, opening the third eye, which is here, then get the lapis stone. Blue lapis, Lapis, the lapis stone, and put that in your pocket, have it around you, have it, I do have one close, but I'm not going to go off camera to get it. Well, shoot, I will. Why not? Let's improv, right? Some of it's improv. All right, so I'm back. This is the lapis stone. So this was given to me by a friend, a colleague of mine, and it's the lapis stone. And I have this close. I actually have it sitting in my plants because I find that plants, if you have plants in your home, put a crystal in it. Plants will just explode. Plants love crystals. So I have this lapis stone sitting in my crystals. It's a heart shaped, and ever since I put it in my plants, I've got one of those. You don't water them but once a week, kind of a desert plant, but they have just really grown here in my studio, which I absolutely love. So the lapis stone, if you've been thinking about a spiritual career, and of course the stag or the deer or the elk will be your reminders for this week. And if you want to stick around, I'm going to be back here in just about 30 seconds. This is going to shift over to my YouTube channel. It's going to premiere on my YouTube channel. You can hit the description field for that link if you want to get on my playlist. There's over 250 videos of hikes, dives, Inspired Living Radio, 4 seasons of Inspired Living Radio podcast, 2 seasons of Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, and some of the fun stuff, some of the soul adventure stuff I've done. I've done improv comedy as a psychic with a famous comedian here in Seattle. So there's just some interviews that I've done. I'm going to have an interview coming up on Best American Psychics this Wednesday. Looking forward to that. And also going to be updating my Alexa quotes that you can get through Positive Living if you want daily inspiration through Alexa or your Echo Pod. Just ask to open up Ariel's Positive Living. So I'm going to be recording new versions of that. Sign, symbol, synergy, and synchronistic events. So I love that the sun is coming through. But I want to just finish up with a quote that Rumi reminds us of. And again, today's topic is the days are long, the years are short. And Rumi reminds us that you're not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. And when you think about that for a second, there's amazing things you can do depending on what your mindset is, what you want to bring into your reality, from here into your reality. And again, you are not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a drop. And when you think of that and you realize that the days are long, but the years are short, it really does change your path and your mindset and where you're going. So I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me this morning. Have a great week. Be inspired. Inspire others. Inspire before we expire. And I'm going to be back here. Get your questions ready. I've got my cards ready. We may have a little bit of intuition. We may have a little bit of spiritual chat. We may have some psychic readings. We may have some mediumship. I never know. That's the fun of doing the Prospecting Q&A after show. So if you've never been a part of the Prospecting Q&A after show, at 8:30, so in about a minute, I'll come back here on the Intuitive Prospector page. So make sure to like and turn on. This goes over to my YouTube channel for upload for my YouTube subscribers. I don't have a lot. I have about 175 now, which I started with one last year, and I'm up to 175. So it's kind of cool just to see people follow me and interested in the work that I'm doing and from a spiritual, metaphysical standpoint. And make sure to subscribe, but get ready for the Prospecting Q&A after show because we're going to be back here in about 30 seconds. And with that, until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and remember the days are long, but the years are short. So have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back here next Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Stick around here in 30 seconds. We'll be back for the Prospecting Q&A after show. Have a great day, everybody. Namaste.